There were two territories in early Proto British Columbia, New Caledonia and Columbia. The most valuable furs were from the north. The HBC government considered abandoning the south, but occupied it as a strategic buffer to protect New Caledonia. The two territories amalgamated under the name Columbia. In 1841, a new government rejected long-standing British policy for a Columbia River border. The Foreign Secretary wrote his Prime Minister about Columbia. Its real importance is insignificant. But the Hudson Bay Company lobbied hard for Columbia. A U.S. Secretary of State said, if it were not for the Hudson Bay Company, Britain would give us the whole country up to 5440. A British envoy affirmed, the Hudson Bay Company has rights which must be protected. U.S. President Polk prepared for war. The HBC committed to raising an army of 2,000 for Columbia, but wanted them led by British officers. Lord Stanley, Secretary of War, wanted company officers to lead, but he would contribute to the costs. Aberdeen called for an international tribunal. The Secretary of State confided, the British government wants to be clear of the question on almost any terms. If the arbitrator should award the whole territory, it would yield it without a murmur. Congress took the first step toward declaring war. At the same time, Mexican relations worsened. It seemed the U.S. might have to fight two wars. The tone in the U.S. Senate changed, encouraging Britain to resume negotiations. U.S. politicians believed the people of the U.S. would not be willing to sustain a war for the country north of the 49th. And British Columbia was wholly unfit for agriculture and incapable of sustaining any considerable population. Almost its only value is in the furs collected, and even in this, it is not of much importance. The Americans were anxious for a treaty. The British proposal was quickly accepted, word for word, with much elation. The U.S. immediately declared war on Mexico. Prime Minister Peel said, a single month of war would have been more costly than the value of the whole territory. The Times agreed. What we abandoned was not worth a moment's regret. What we retained was no great cause of exultation. The HBC government had occupied the South to protect New Caledonia from the U.S. In the end, this is exactly what happened. British Columbia exists today because of the Honorable Hudson Bay Company.